welcome to Shifting Your Magnetism. I am incredibly excited to be here. I have never been more ready to teach on what we're going to go through today as I am now. I've been called and asked by many people to take a deeper dive into this topic, and this is something I talk a lot about in my one-on-one high proximity coaching with clients. And if you don't know me yet, then this is one of my core values, which is so important to me. And that is, I will not teach you something unless I have fully embodied it myself first. So for me, I'm very conscious of ensuring that I do not show up and teach something unless I have fully embodied it first and I've gotten results out of it first before teaching it to you. Now, this work started in 2020 and it continues today in 2023. And this is the identity work which I will teach you today. And 2020 was a year which changed everything for me. It was a year that created opportunities which didn't make any sense compared to what I was living at the time. And it felt like it made no sense whilst all the sense at the same time, especially as I look back on it now. How many of you can relate to this? How many of you can relate to something not making sense and then it making sense later? Since 2020, there have been huge internal shifts which have created huge external shifts in my life. And I felt called to share this with you because once you understand this work and what we're going to go through today, and the process of the power and the momentum in doing the internal shifts, then you'll experience the beauty of what it means to experience that, and everything gets to change for you. And I want to kill the belief that you may have that what works for somebody else may not work for you. But please hear me when I say this, is that most of the identity work I did is the same as what I'm doing now. Most of the mindset around the worthiness and the self-love is the same. Most of what I did in terms of the mindset work around the source of all wealth, which is irrevocably love, is the same. Most of the money work I was doing at the time stays the same, and it is intrinsically linked to self-love and worthiness. Now, I'm mentioning money work here because financial abundance was one of my core values when aligning with my spouse. My spouse was my soulmate. And in order to magnetize somebody who was as abundant, and we well know that like attracts like, so abundance attracts abundance, I had to work on my own mindset and embody that one first before attracting him. The only difference was that in 2020, I was not as conscious of my process. And as I shifted throughout that year, I started to magnetize not only my soulmate, but many other opportunities. Okay, I want to really stress here that if you only do the identity work, nothing's going to change for you. It is a strategy. There is a strategic component to being magnetic and matched to your spouse or your soulmate and much more. And that is why I have whole programs built around the strategics of all this. Because it's not about just sitting on your beautiful ass. It's actually doing the identity work without embodying it. If you don't embody it, it's not going to work for you. The important component here is who are you being whilst you're doing this work, and how are you embodying it every minute of the day and night. If it were just as easy as you learning the strategy, well, why are there not more women who are matched to their spouse or soulmate, or much more, which they desire? Why? Why are there not more women out there who are so rich in love that their marriage is a breeze and they can focus their inner wealth and love more globally? What do I mean by this? Love is not just for yourself. or to be matched up to your spouse or your soulmate. It is so much more than that. It is the source of all wealth, including financial wealth. Greater financial abundance. And it impacts generations to come and plays a key part in generational wealth also. The love you have for yourself is so important for what you're going to radiate out. Now, what I really want to share is that I loved this shift. I loved activating and teaching women on the power and potency of love. My love language is seeing women thrive beyond their wildest beliefs and matching to their soulmate, but also seeing that energy and movement shift from within their love life, but also in their career, with their kids and with their family and their loved ones. I love those conversations, but do you know what I love more? Teaching you the identity of the woman who steps into her power to fully embody the love she holds for herself first, so as to magnetize her perfect match to her. Because love is the most important and the most central piece of the puzzle we call life. It will change your life. And if you have little children, if you've got tiny humans, it will change their lives also. And if they go on to have more little children and more tiny humans, it will also change their future and future generations. So we really need to love, trust, and value ourselves unconditionally, and value the sacredness of a romantic union, which I guarantee you is a source of all abundance, including financial. So we're going to talk about creating that energy, not just for the immediate month, but for every month thereafter. Because true love, contrary to popular belief, is actually very easy to glide into. And I hear people say that marriage is hard, it needs work. It's not a walk in a park. But granted, it does take some times where, both people need to calibrate from each side, but it's not that hard work. It's not the way most people imagine it. It really lies solely on you as an individual and on the marriage and on the relationship. It's not that hard. There is no freedom or joy of you having one glorious month with your spouse or soulmate, and then you're trapped in a pattern of cyclical arguments, misunderstandings, fallouts, etc. Let's not get this twisted. What I have just mentioned does not bear the face of true love. True love is easy. It is easy. It takes calibrating, but it is easy. So let's keep this real. This is about tapping into the identity of being wealthy in love, a rich queen in self-love and worthiness, someone who understands and can tap into the frequency of building a very solid foundation of self-love and an empire of love and financial wealth, with her chosen one and a possible tribe of tiny humans to follow, if that so be your wish. This is so much bigger than it just affecting you. It will affect not only your soulmate, but also your family and the world at large, the world around you. And I'm so passionate between the link and the connection between love being the source of all wealth and what many people perceive wealth to be in monetary terms. And those are the kinds of conversations I'm having that make me really a trailblazer in this field, because there is not one woman out there having this kind of conversation. So it makes even more powerful sense to make it a part of this masterclass. Love, wealth, and the link in between. Please do not underestimate the power of this masterclass. Do not underestimate it just because it is 33 euros. If you came into this masterclass thinking it's going to change your life, then guess what you're going to get? It's going to change your life. This could change everything for you. But do you believe it can change everything for you? This could be the thing that shifts you into building the reality that you are meant for. But only if you have the audacity to believe that. Only if you have the audacity to believe that it gets to be possible for you. Because here's the secret. Your magnetism will not attract to you your soulmate or your spouse. It will attract to you much, 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 much more of what you want. And deep down, you know what you are meant for. So investing in yourself is powerful. It's really powerful. But it is not a question of how much you are spending. It's about how powerful you are when you invest, even 33 euros. And I hope that this investment activates every single one of you on a level you didn't imagine was possible. And I hope it activates you for every other investment you've done for yourself. And if it does, then great, great. You've made my day and you've shifted yourself. So welcome to my world. So I'm going to start with this. You know now that my name is Felicity, and my love language is when you share me on social media, when you share clips, boomerangs of this masterclass on social media with your biggest takeaways of what you've learned here. Tag me and reshare me to your stories and to your audience so that we can celebrate you for being an active participant of this masterclass and for you being invested and in learning what you're going to learn today. Okay? The more you share, the more you get active, the more you're going to learn. The more you're going to be activated. The more it's going to sink. The more it's going to land with you, and the more likely you're going to implement in your life. Now, I will have a couple of giveaways for those of you who do share me, and that is I'm going to be offering a one-on-one 30-minute high proximity call for a special winner who's tagged me in their stories and put out what their biggest takeaways are. So it's a pretty darn good deal for you, okay? All right, let's dive back in. Now, in 2020, what created the shift for me was my belief that I was meant for more than what I was experiencing at the time. And I know a lot of you can resonate with this. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'd been in 2 dead-end relationships, one after the other, prior to 2020, which had really sucked the living daylight out of me, as the men I'd been dating at the time were very high-powered, influential men in terms of their career, but a total complete flop when it came to love and matters of the heart. I'll spare you the details for now, but it wasn't pretty. I also had built up my own self-made osteopathy clinic here on the French Riviera and was holding together all aspects of the business single-handedly. And though I was making money, I was not able to hold it as professional expenses were very high, which added another layer of frustration and complication in my life. Are you seeing the parallels here? There are parallels. Remember, like attracts like. Even though situations can appear to be unrelated, spoiler alert, they're actually not. So tell me if you resonate with this. Can you see parallels in your life? I'd fallen out of love with my business at the time, my osteopathy clinic, and I'd fallen out of love with the identity I had about myself at the time, which I was playing out in those relationships, those personal relationships. So when I was faced with my second very painful breakup, that event forced me to look at everything and reevaluate everything in my life. I didn't want to experience yet another breakup and disappointment. I no longer wanted to service patients at my clinic and spend all the money I was making on professional expenses. And they're pretty high here in France if you're self-employed. But that's another story for another day. I no longer wanted to keep renting a space to live in without being a homeowner and not run the continuous risk of being kicked out every so often by a landlord who wanted to reclaim their property for the summer months or goodness knows what else, whatever reason they had. I no longer wanted to be told what to do by the many men around me who were doing just that. So all of this was an opportunity for me to grow out of my old self and shift into someone completely different, inside and outside of me. And in order to do that, I had to do the work, which I'm going to be sharing with you today. So, if you haven't got pen and paper by now would be a really good time to get pen and paper. Pause the video if you need to, or please watch it multiple times. Okay? Come back to this training and replay it as many times as you need to let it sink, to let it land with you. This work is about understanding the current identity that you have allocated to yourself with regards to the way you perceive and love yourself first, before anybody else, first. So the identity I had back then about myself in January of 2020 was that I was not worthy of somebody, including me, wholeheartedly into their life as their spouse. And that I had to struggle hard to earn a lot of money to pay off my professional expenses. Can you see that that energy in both cases is very linked? It is a dense, anxious, anxiety-filled type energy which is stunted and allows no room for expansion. The identity I had shifted to in February of that year was that I was a love magnet, and that I was a love magnet for the soulmate and for the wealth to thrive upon. I wasted no time in shifting my identity. I am a love magnet. I was so activated by my identity that I had attracted by then 2 quality men who wanted a very serious relationship and more. And when I say more, I mean setting up a business together. One was already an established CEO and a huge traveler. The other was an economist and very international, as well as traveling all over the globe. They wanted us to tie the knot together. Look what I turned around in such a short period of time. I was an overachiever for the CEO and an overgiver for the economist. Without doing either, without dating either, my energy exuded through me at the times that we were in each other's company, and they definitely had picked up on this. I had exuded that energy, they had picked up on it. Now, how would you describe yourself? I am fill in the blank. Who are you? In your simplest form. Who are you? Now that question is, for people it's, who am I? I'm single, I'm divorced, I'm separated, I'm married. Okay, who else are you? What would you describe yourself as? And when I started to find ways to describe myself, I was very strategic in my selecting of a spouse and a soulmate with regards to my core values and where I wanted to go. I was very practical also. Those things are all great, but your current reality is often a reflection of your current overarching identity that you give yourself. And my current reality was the overarching dominant characteristics plus the side effects of my limiting beliefs at the time. The light of being attractive to potential partners and meeting people also had the flip side of not being attracted to who I had in front of me. And I kept myself completely trapped in a cycle of anxiety, worry, and darkness. But consistency is my middle name. I am consistent, and I didn't give up on the knowingness that I would unite with my spouse very, very soon. I didn't know who that person was. Now, I wasn't putting my real worth out there, and the fear of continuously attracting the people that didn't interest me was always part of my identity at the time. Who have you decided that you are this red hot minute? Not who do you want to be, but who are you right now? Please write this down, take some time. It's all about being really honest and clear with yourself about who you are not. Who you are not. This work only works if you do the work. It's uncomfortable, standing in front of the mirror. It's really, really uncomfortable. It's like standing in front of the mirror naked with yourself looking at yourself for 5 long minutes, and you ask yourself, who am I? Who have I decided that I am? Who have I decided I am not? Okay, you need to be able to bear yourself out naked. And I was not going to allow myself to get in a relationship if it didn't feel right for me on every level. And if it didn't feel completely, and then also if I didn't feel completely safe with the person I had in front of me on every level. I had to convert from people pleasing to staying in my power and choosing from my power and my core values. At the time, I didn't have the identity of operating from my power of feeling worthy. I was attracting people, yeah, but I wasn't operating from power. I always looked up to the women who had it all. Diamond rings, good-looking husbands, perfect on paper lives. Who have you decided that you are? And who have you decided that you are not, based on what other people have told you or their projections of you? Write it down. I'll give you a few examples I had with my identity. I was bad at maths, that I was bad at money because a teacher at school had said I was bad at maths, and my dad said I couldn't handle money well. I had my head in the clouds when I was a child, and therefore I was always told that I'd be bad with money. What have you allowed other people to project onto you? You have to be really careful about staying away from people who project their lens onto you, because chances are you're going to let it sink in. You may have allowed yourself an identity by looking at others ahead of you, and you're not allowing yourself to do or be that person who you truly want to be and who you truly are. You can't call yourself that unless you have done this. No, that's not true. I had a lot of resistance at the time. If I didn't have enough money in the bank or enough patients at the clinic coming through the door, if I wasn't a homeowner, then I wasn't worthy of a great spouse. Wow, that's what I was attracting at the time. I was hiding all this deep down because of other people's projections onto me. Isn't that interesting? When you have the consciousness to be able to see that. You can't be attracting Mr. Perfect for you if you don't have all the other areas of your life sorted. What a limiting belief. The identity I had at the time was, when I achieve this, I will have that. It does not work that way. I am here to tell you it does not work that way. Now, when I was making thousands a month as an osteopath, then I will be worthy of the right man for me. Again, another belief I had. Note the key word here is be. All this, excuse my French, it's bullshit. The way you achieve your goals and your aspirations is to take the identity of who you want to be and taking her and embodying her now. You need to shift your identity now, this red hot minute, right now. You need to shift the BS that you have allocated to yourself and that you have allocated from other people telling you who the heck you are. You need to shift. And with the shift comes lightness. With the shift comes access to parts of your consciousness you never thought were possible. When I did this work, I realized who I decided I was. I realized who I had decided, what other people decided I was. And I asked myself, who are you? Who are you really? If I were asking the 5-year-old version of Felicity, who didn't have other people's projections, who knew who she was, who had the nudge that I was meant for, something super special, that I was different, that I was made for the $1 million relationship and marriage that I wanted, if I could ask her, what would she say to me? That I was made for a marriage anchored in divine love, which is the source of all wealth, including financial wealth. The source of flowing marriages, which are not as hard as most people would think they are. I stopped judging myself. I stopped worrying about how other people would reject me for just being who I am. And that allowed me to magnetize a wonderful spouse who doesn't even know the meaning of judgment. I've never seen that before in my life. It was the most magical experience of my life to finally be in the company of somebody in a relationship with zero judgment. This was something I had never experienced before. It was so beautiful, so authentic. I had a stream of other lucrative opportunities come to me when I had made that quantum leap in my identity. I really leaned into the trust of embodying a marriage and what that actually means, not just for my spouse, but also as an example for everything we are attracting in our lives and for those around us. The whisper of your soul to nudge you to greater, higher places beyond just the intimate union of your couple is the version who you are meant to be. The wealth of love goes beyond just your intimate couple. The woman who has the perfect spouse for her is one decision, one declaration away from the woman who has made her own home, her family, her children, her career. The things you are wishing for and have daydreamed about, that is who you are. Where is the gap? What is the shift? What do you need to shift? Write it down. Get clear on it. Why do you think you can change anything you want about your life? You can change anything. You can change your partner, you can change your hair, you can change your nails, you can change your eye color, you can change your name, you can even change your identity on paper. You can change anything you please. So why do you think I am who I am today? Why do you think other successful women out there are who they are today? Why do you think someone who has experienced painful breakups is now deliriously happily married? Why? Because they have always been like this. I've always been like this. So why are you allowing yourself not to keep choosing an identity which is not serving you, instead of choosing the identity that you want right now? You have to really integrate all of this. What are the do's and don'ts you're choosing in your life? I want you to get super honest with yourself, okay? This doesn't work. This shift, this identity does not work if you're not being 100% honest with yourself. I need you to look at yourself in the mirror each day of the week and ask yourself, who am I today? What am I going to allow myself to be today? What have I allowed other people to tell me that I am? And continue to watch yourself. Okay? Take out all the fluff, take out all the BS. If I was being my most authentic self, and I wasn't worried about what my mother would say, what my father would say, what the guy next door would say, what my sister would say, the people on the internet trolling me, what my friends, my family, my colleagues, how would I be showing up in this world? How would I be showing up in this world? What would I be saying? Or how would I be doing things? Who would I walk away from right now? Who would I cut ties with? This is a piece of the puzzle. I don't care how you are showing up in public. If you are showing up in private in a different identity, that would be like dating and pretending to be somebody else who you're not. That would be so exhausting. Oh, and I've been there, all right? And we don't have time for that. So what if you actually breathed in your new identity, lived it, embodied it? It's about being her in every freaking moment, not just when things are going well for you. Be her right now. Be her when you want to faceplant the fridge. This is about being in your mini shift, in your mini shift, in your mini shift all the time. I care about what you're doing in those small moments in your life. I care about what you're doing in your big moments, all right? I care what you're doing when you're waking up in the morning. How are you drinking your coffee or your tea? How are you driving your car? Who are you being when nobody is watching you? Who do you want to be? This shift came from me with the full embodiment when I was saying to myself, how would I make this cup of tea this morning? How would I choose to love my spouse today? How would I pick my clothes I wear right now? How would I work out? How would I actually share, what would I actually share with my spouse tonight? Really start to get your imagination going here, all right? Ask yourself questions. This is important because this is how your subconscious mind is going to bring it into your reality. This is so, so important if you're looking to create love in your life. Do not create duplicity. All right. Let's say you're thinking about what kind of spouse you want to attract into your life. What perfume would you wear? What kind of nail varnish would you wear? What would you eat? What would you be saying about yourself? What would people say about you? Would you care about it? Or would you just let it slide off? It's in these micro moments. It's in these micro moments that you start to change, that you start to shift. All right? Do not fall back into the identity of being the people pleaser, being the warrior. It's only going to get you stuck where you were once before. Stop accepting average. All right? Go for the big audacious love. If that's what you want to experience, go for the big audacious love. I cannot get to believe that I have this love in my life. Do not accept average. If you accept average, guess what? You're being average. And none of you are here because you want average or because you are average. You know that you're meant for more. Your soul knows it. Your soul is crying out for it. So, the things you are hiding are the reasons that somebody will fall in love with you. And that you are not for everybody. Hallelujah, you're not for everybody. You're 1 in a million for that one special person. Otherwise, you're vanilla. You're vanilla. And vanilla doesn't please the right guy for you. If you're being vanilla for everybody, you're not being the right person for one person. I'm good with being different and doing things differently in my marriage and following my most authentic self because it is who I was meant to be. And you are doing yourself a gigantic disservice if you do not choose yourself. You are 1 day delayed every time you're not choosing yourself first. Every time you're choosing the identity of what others put on you, you're 1 day away from the life that you are meant for. Stop waiting another day. How would you like to end your time here on earth? And you face your maker and you're asked, oh, why did you downplay? Why did you hide? Why didn't you listen to your soul? You could have won and had so much more. It's time to ditch average and start choosing you, whatever that looks like, whatever your soul is crying out for. This is the work which changed my life. It changed many of my clients' life, and it will change yours. And that's why it's only 33 euros. No matter how happy or how unhappy you are, I want you to have everything. I want you to shift now. And that's why I've made this masterclass so affordable for everybody, because this information is so important for you. All right, and this is coming from somebody who suffered a lot in the past from rejection upon rejection. I suffered from an eating disorder, of battling through years of low self-esteem, identity blockages, and I say this from a place of love, that this is not unique to me, okay? My life today is because I chose myself, and you have the ability to choose. You have the ability to shift everything for yourself right now. So, here's a question. What are you going to choose? What are you going to choose? This work is deep and it requires you to go back over it multiple times. Please do the exercises and the work. This masterclass can really change your life. But it won't change if you don't do the work. If any of you feel called to stay in my world, there are a few key ways that you can. That you can stay in my world, that you can sit with me, and that you can fast track to the highly strategic side, to living the source of all wealth, and that is love. The union of love with an intimate partner and much more. You can sit with me in any capacity on Facebook, Instagram, or by being part of my inner world on a much more intimate level with higher proximity. You can come sit with me and find your home. You are not alone. You're not alone. I am here to support you. I'm here to activate you. So if you're wanting to quantum leap your magnetism, your identity, please come sit with women who are walking the walk and not just talking the talk. I'm all about changing lives. I'm all about changing lives into lives of love in the most authentic way for you. Now, if I can do it, you can do it. If my clients have been able to do it, you can do it. What identities are you allocating to other people? Stop pedestaling others. Stop pedestaling those around you who have tapped into this work, where everything is fully available for you. And there is nothing more potent than putting yourself in the room with women who are doing the work. Don't pedestal them, come sit with them. The work works when you work. Okay, let me know what your biggest takeaways were. What's shifted for you? Please post and ask if you need support. You know where to find me. Get in touch with me. I've loved this mini masterclass. I've loved every moment of it, and I'm so excited for each and every one of you to operate from a greater place of power and magnetism. I'm sending you all the love. You have a great day now. You have a great day rich in love, rich in the fruits of love, because you deserve only the greatness of love and much, much more.